Hi everyone, welcome to 𝗿𝗲𝗺's webinar on why remote work is accelerating globalization and creating new opportunities for Indian MBAs. So, you might have been associated with us for a while now. We've been having webinars regularly on how remote work is expanding and what opportunities it is creating for professionals in India. And this webinar also is one of many in a similar vein, in a similar series. So why actually are we talking about this? The MBA market itself in India, it is huge. More than 2 lakh people give the MBA entrance exam, the CAT exam, which is the Central MBA entrance examination each year. More than 2 lakh people. And an almost equal number of people find admissions in private colleges through separate private arrangements and not through the central exam itself. And not just this, we have more than 250,000 people, which is another 2.5 lakhs, giving the GMAT exam, which is the exam one must take to gain admission into foreign universities in business courses for foreign universities. So we have a substantial 6-7 lakh number of people who are looking to gain admission to management programs after their bachelor's degrees. And because of this, a huge market in India and in abroad has developed both for educating as well as for employing MBAs. Now, because of this, the presence of such huge numbers, this presence itself has led to alteration of the contours of the market. And because of the alteration of the market, which was at until a very recent point, it was quite stagnated and filled with a number of people and not enough job offers in comparison. But because of the COVID pandemic and the market itself being contoured accordingly, India is able to provide a talent hub of MBA graduates, mostly coming from a technical background, but at a cost that is more affordable as compared to talent in other countries. And because of COVID, because of this new changing market, Indian MBA graduates, which were earlier unable to find suitable work suitable to their skills, to their level of qualifications, they are able to be employed in foreign countries and by international companies, by multinational corporations, to take advantage of, among other things, talent arbitrage. So after the COVID actually had struck, a study was conducted, and the subjects of this study were a number of recruiters and hiring managers in USA. So the findings from this study showed that almost two-thirds of hiring managers were open to hiring people from abroad, and they actually predicted that their staff would predominantly be composed of people working remotely throughout the next decade. And more than 50% of such managers also said that productivity of workers that work remotely has exceeded their expectations, and they have been able to draw out more productivity from these remote workers, from these remote employees, than from employees that work full time with them. So with these findings in mind, we have a very pertinent question that comes up, and that question is, why actually are more and more companies hiring remote employees? Why is this phenomenon taking place? So earlier there were several companies that did actually have a work from home policy, and all they required was for the workers to report to the office every once in a while. It was a periodic appointment. They need to report back to the office e either once a week or once a month, something like that. And they had to make presentations, they had to undergo various meetings to make sure that all their deadlines, all their productivity requirements were being met. However, since last year, companies have realized that you can actually work without physically meeting at all for more than a few months. And it has actually opened up their eyes to the possibility that work is capable of being carried on completely remotely. It is also easier to hire the required talent, to identify your requirements, and to hire talent according to those requirements to undertake a few jobs in a new country instead of going through a lengthy process of expanding and setting up an entire office at a physical location in your existing country. And with this backdrop in mind, we find a number of factors that are encouraging companies to hire talent remotely. So the first factor, which is one of the biggest factors that has catalyzed this process, is technological advances. So the boom in technology and innovation has actually enabled us to work from anywhere as long as we have an internet connection. And take Zoom, for example. Nobody was aware of Zoom before the lockdown struck, and since the lockdown has struck, Zoom's market capitalization, it's even the prices of its stocks had they have grown to almost 2 to 3 times of its previous sizes, and it has achieved great popularity. And there are other similar applications also that have cropped up just to make remote work easier. So technology has helped us conduct virtual meetings. It has helped us share live documents, Google Docs, for example, MS Office on the net, for example. Microsoft actually made their entire Office suite available for free if you're using the internet version. And we have applications like Slack, we have applications like Kanban to ensure that documentation and reporting reports statistics are carried out in an efficient manner. Therefore, as an application of a combination of all these technological services that we have today, all the cumulative effect that is created is that the necessity of meeting physically, of having physical actual meetings, has been removed. And these applications make it possible for a business, for a team, to actually conduct work even though the people in that team might be scattered across the world or across the country. And even 𝗏𝗏𝗁 has been operating in a similar manner. We have people who are joining us from across the nation. We have people in Delhi, we have people in Mumbai, we have people in Kochi. But right now, we also have people who are working abroad. Ramanuj sir himself is not in India right now. He's working from Tanzania. And all of this has been made possible through technology, which is the biggest factor that has catalyzed remote working. The second factor is, of course, linked to technology itself, is the reduction of non-essential meetings. During a busy week, the last thing that a manager wants is a wasted hour or a wasted couple of hours sitting in an unproductive meeting that is leading us nowhere. So meetings today consume more work hours than before. And most employees, this again is according to various studies conducted by the big four consultancy firms, most employees attend around 62 meetings a month, which is a lot. And however, those employees also consider more than half of these meetings to be a waste of their time. And all this wastage of time, this leakage of efficiency and productivity can be corrected by working remotely. Since meetings are fewer in number, you don't do physical meetings, you spend less time on those meetings. So virtual meetings typically have a fixed agenda, they have a fixed goal in mind, and so you can be sure that if you spend an hour on a meeting, it will be productive. Third factor that we're going to talk about is less distractions. You obviously have lesser distractions working at home, where it's just you and your family, as compared to working in an office where there are a number of walk-in queries. You might have a chatty coworker or two who likes to sponge up your time, and you have regular social events. Any event that's in the calendar is celebrated typically in any office or in any formal setup. So these are just a few of the many distractions that a worker faces while working in an office. And all these distractions can actually be avoided if the person is working remotely and delivering their work according to pre-decided deadlines. Another important factor which has pushed companies to shift their workforce on over the internet is the problem with real estate. The real estate has been becoming increasingly expensive, and buying is not an option for most startups. For any new company that is going to set out and work, buying up real estate is not an option for them. and they may be more inclined towards renting or leasing a property for their business. But even those avenues are becoming more and more expensive as days go by. Therefore, having a remote workforce, having a remote office, so to say, saves substantial cost on office space, and one may end up having to incur little to nothing to actually host and provide for a workforce that is conducting its operations over the internet through by making utilization of various technological advances. Such arrangements are really helping businesses achieve their profitability goals, cut down on their costs, and helping them achieve their desired targets simply by increasing the margin and the overall profit. Earlier, recruitments and hiring was carried on by recruitment firms, staffing firms, HR companies, and all of the largest companies in the world. They all use various staffing firms to take care of their employees, to onboard their employees, to make sure all their statutory payments such as gratuity, etc., are paid regularly, to take care of the payroll also. But these companies have been looking for alternate means to hire them, because when a big company hires a staffing firm or a recruitment firm, a large portion of the hiring budget, which was supposed to actually go to be earned by the employees who are being onboarded, a large part of that budget has to be allocated to the recruitment process, the recruitment firm itself. And despite such a substantial budget, hiring managers are not always satisfied with the result that they get by taking on these staffing firms. So remote work has the potential to step in and provide the degree of flexibility that any recruiter for a company is looking for. Possibility of remote work allows these companies to hire specialists at a fraction of the price they were paying earlier, at a fraction of the budget that they had allocated earlier, and they are able to hire professionals, technical specialists, and consultants for a dedicated period. And at the same time, because of these factors, they are also able to avoid the risk of hiring and handling a full-time staff, which is way more expensive. And not only is it expensive, it is very difficult to have any modifications to their work profiles or to remove them in case they are not able to deliver as expected. So remote work actually provides the flexibility one is looking for, and they are able to provide professionals who are able to address the queries that you actually are looking for. Training cost is another major factor. So several hiring managers believe that permanent staff is actually not equipped with the skills required to support a business that is supposed to evolve in the next few years. So remote work will help companies who do not need to spend on training their employees or reskilling them at regular intervals. Because of the work, remote work employees are hired for the desired result, right? Since you are able to hire people working remotely for a dedicated period and for a dedicated goal, the company can avoid paying substantial amount of money to train their existing employees for new tasks. They can simply hire people on a contract basis or on a short term basis or on a goal oriented basis. And this will help the company reduce its training costs substantially. And this is another factor why remote work is cropping up. The study I mentioned you, it was actually Upwork's future workforce report. So Upwork is one of these platforms where freelancing remote working professionals are able to get jobs and tasks. And Upwork has seen a huge spike in inductees after COVID. A large number of people have joined Upwork to make use of the opportunities available over there. And according to its studies, it's the report stated that more than 75% of hiring managers stated that it is more efficient to engage an independent professional that's working remotely instead of a full-time employee. So we find that the companies themselves are more inclined towards hiring people that work remotely, And this is not simply a function of the COVID pandemic or of technological advances, but of a number of factors which all contribute to a greater margin for the company. They are reducing their costs and they are increasing their profits. And this is the primary reason why companies are more inclined towards hiring people that work remotely. You do not even have to be, we talked about a reduction in training costs. We will also see a reduction in costs that are required by statute. So hiring remote talent will enable your business to save money, because you won't have to pay for various perks such as employee insurance, such as housing allowance, social events. You won't have to host any social events, host any dinners or festival celebrations. So all of these will help the bottom line for your business. They will help you push down your costs and increase your margins. So, and finally, another major factor is talent arbitrage, which is something that we have spoken about quite a bit. So, guys, I'll just like to pause for a second here. Do you know what talent arbitrage is? You can simply put it on the chat box, whether you know about it or not. Yes or no. What is talent arbitrage? Yes or no. Do you know what talent arbitrage is? So talent arbitrage is when you tap into offshore talent at a cost that is lower than the cost in your home country for the same services. And this has been made possible, this has been catalyzed by the COVID pandemic itself. And multinational companies are now prioritizing finding executives with global talent wherever they might be located. It does not matter whether the company is in US and the persons are in India or in Bangladesh or in any other country whatsoever. So multinational companies are more inclined towards finding executives that have the necessary skills, the talent, the expertise to fulfill their task, regardless of the location where they're situated. So, going remote has given organizations the chance to access an entire world of possible employees. So, this has substantially increased the likelihood of making hires that are more suitable to the task that a company's to the task that any company will have, instead of settling on a candidate locally and therefore being limited to a talent pool provided only in a particular region. So companies are able to find people who are more suitable to their job requirements, and someone who shares the values, the work ethic of the company, even though they are not located where the company is located. So that again is talent arbitrage, and this helps both ways. This helps the company as well as the employee. Say for example, a person working in India, an MBA graduate in India typically earns between 3.5 lakhs, between 3 lakhs to 6 lakhs in a year. That is the that is the average salary for an MBA graduate in India, as opposed to an MBA graduate in USA. The average salary for an MBA graduate in USA is approximately 70 lakhs per year. That is a huge jump. So companies in USA, they'll have a benefit out of this. They'll be able to hire MBA graduates from India at a cost lower than the cost in their home country. So they'll be paying lesser than 70 lakhs. Uh, but from the perspective of an Indian MBA graduate, they'll be getting more than 6 lakhs, which is the average MBA salary in India. Say, for example, they settle at 20 lakhs. So the Indian MBA graduate will be getting more, while the American based companies, they'll have to spend less. It's a win-win situation. And this is why these things are being pushed more and more in today's times. Which brings us to our next question, our next segment for today, which is why actually should you do remote work? And again, there are a few factors for this. And the first factor, obviously, which I just iterated, is the prospect of earning more money. Working remotely allows you to gain access to clients that are beyond your reach, beyond your physical reach, beyond your geographical reach. And it therefore helps you find work on what will reward your skills in the best manner. And so not only does the company that is hiring gains an amount of flexibility when it's looking for a particular skill set or for a particular job description. But even the people who are working as freelancer, who are working as remote employees, even they will have a greater degree of flexibility in finding work that suits them in a best manner. So undertaking work from developed economies rather than undertaking work from your own nation or from developing economies will be able to help pay you better than in your own country. And therefore more money is the simplest, the baseline, the most basic aspect of why remote work is gaining more traction. Obviously, second step directly linked to this is better exposure. When you are reaching out beyond your geographical limits, when you're stepping out beyond your bubble, beyond your territory, essentially the entire world becomes your client base. The internet, it has a global access. You have internet, you have access to the entire world. That is essentially what you will leverage and what you will capitalize on. So having such a huge part of the world to connect to, having such a gigantic client base will give you exposure like no other. And you will be having your name, your digital presence in a number of countries other than the country where you are actually located. This will help broaden not only your talent but also your knowledge. And overall, your productivity will increase, your delivery will increase, your earnings will increase, your fame will increase. So it's a huge chain of positives that is triggered once you start proceeding along these lines. So flexibility, as I mentioned, is definitely there. You will have the freedom to choose clients and projects, and that is one of the biggest advantages of working independently and remotely. So you have a freedom of choice, making it simple for yourself to choose the type of work based upon your interests and skills, based upon what you feel will benefit you the most, and you do not have to be tied down with any kind of job description that you do not prefer. Not only will you have this freedom of choice and this flexibility of your of projects, but you also have flexibility of location and time. Executives who are located in remote areas that typically do not pay well, they will able to be able to benefit greatly from this. They will be able to work with companies that are thriving in other areas that are not so remote, that are relatively more developed. So this provides anyone immense freedom to work anytime and from anywhere in the world, as long as the job is well done and on time. So even law firms in India, not just multinational companies, but even law firms in India have begun hiring people remotely, and all of them have released various remote working policies to help people transition to this period. Then again, we have a large talent pool, not just in India, but across the world, that is largely untapped. And I am referring to ladies that are homemakers or that are more focused on spending time with their children. They feel that having to go to an office is an additional burden that their family life does not allow them to pursue. And this definitely is a fallout from, in among other things, the patriarchal nature of society and business. But remote work has enabled all these people to take roles that are more geared towards leadership and taking initiative. So even when we're talking about 𝗏𝗏𝗁 itself, most of the teams in 𝗏𝗏𝗁 are led by ladies, and most of these ladies are working from home. So having the opportunity to work in a virtual work environment has given a lot of people the flexibility to have an awesome work life balance. They are able to work properly, they're able to make earnings, and they're also able to manage the home front with equal ease. So for many working moms and working dads, it is difficult to meet family responsibilities while in leadership roles. However, the advent of remote work has made all of this possible. So now we're going to talk about a more important segment, which is what exactly are the kind of businesses that are hiring remote MBA graduates. So a number of large companies, right? And I'm not talking about mid-tier companies that you might have not heard of, but gigantic companies such as Amazon, such as Twitter, such as Adobe, such as Ernst and Young itself, such huge, gigantic companies have gone completely remote. They are not operating their physical offices as of date. And some of the other big companies such as Goldman, they had work from home options earlier, but only for a limited number of roles and not for the entire workforce. Because of COVID, this situation had to change and broaden to include a number of roles working remotely in the company since the pandemic. And almost all roles which are not client facing, right? In all the roles where you do not have to actually face the client and meet them and talk with them directly, all those roles have the capability of being shifted to an area that is carried on over the web. And all these roles which are not client facing, that do not involve field operations, can be done remotely. So I'll just tell you about the major kinds of companies that are going to carry out remote work. And while I mention the list, I'll just put them in the chat box as well. So the primary kinds of companies that are able to shift their work to in an online setup is, first of all, e-commerce. So Amazon being a great example, Amazon has shifted its entire workforce online, and e-commerce is a business where remote MBA graduates are quite important. The second kind of business where remote MBA graduates are being hired are financial consultancies. So financial consultancies, Ernst and Young being a major example, financial consultancies, financial services companies, accounting firms, all these are also companies that have been able to shift their operations to an online setup. Recruiters themselves, we have Vahura in India operating completely online today. So recruitment and human resources firms are also moving online. And then we have data analytics. We have data analytics, we have technology companies like Adobe, like Twitter, all of whom are shifting online and are able to operate with actually with greater efficiency than what they were able to achieve when they were working physically. So remote working is actually not only increased the productivity of the employees, but it has also increased the productivity of entire companies themselves. As I mentioned, hiring managers in a number of disclosures, in a number of reports have stated that having remote employees has actually increased profitability, has increased efficiency, and they are able to work better and in a more comprehensive manner. So these are the broad companies where remote MBA graduates are being hired. And you will find these. And at the end of this session, what I'll do is I'll give you various platforms where you can find independent remote work. All right. And I'm not just talking about Upwork or Fiverr. I'll give you, other than Upwork and Fiverr, I'll give you at least 10 platforms where you will be able to conduct remote work. So, what kind of work actually then will you be doing? What kind of work can be done remotely by MBAs? And what are the required skills for that remote work which is to be carried out? Right? That is what we're going to talk about now. So, the primary kind of work that will be carried out by an MBA grad working remotely is that of a business analyst. So, a business analyst understands the requirement of the business, and he or she or it ascertains the technology and the various methods that are required to move towards the goal to achieve that requirement of the business in a way that optimizes costs and in a way that achieves greater efficiency to achieve the desired result. So that broadly is the role of a business analyst. And what are the skills required by a business analyst? That is what we'll look at now. So first of all, the skill that is required, and this is common for actually any job profile, and not just for a business analyst. You need to have awesome oral and written communication skills. You have to have interpersonal skills, able to connect with people, communicate with people, and coordinate with them in an effective manner. So interpersonal skills and consultative skills acquire a greater degree of importance. You must have an analytical bent of mind, and must have a problem solving approach to be able to meet business requirements and optimize costs in doing so. So organizational skills also are a must. You need to have knowledge of the business structure, knowledge of how to address various queries, various doubts raised by the entire gamut of stakeholders involved with the business, whether they are the stockbrokers, whether they are directors, whether they are the promoters, whether they are your bankers, your government personnel. So you need to be able to conduct a stakeholder analysis and utilize that stakeholder analysis in the backdrop of your knowledge of the business structure that you are seeking to serve. Mm, Cost benefits analysis, process modeling, understanding of networks and databases, all of these are essential skills that you will need to become a business analyst. The second major kind of work that a remote MBA grad will be doing is a data analyst. So with businesses moving online, there is a greater amount of data being collected, and the data that a business collects can help it forecast and ascertain the performance of both its workforce as well as its product. So they are able to connect analyses in a more effective manner. They know, okay, this is the amount we invested and this is what we got for that investment. So earlier, businesses hired a statistician to analyze data and a manager who would use the statistician's analyses to make decisions for the business. But now, both these job descriptions are seeking to be fulfilled by a single person. And since many students from technical backgrounds are opting for MBAs, they are good with coding, they are good with numbers, and therefore a number of jobs in the areas of data analytics, data science, etc., are available to these MBA graduates having a technical background. So data protection itself is a huge field where people are being hired. And data, it is important to remember that data in its raw form cannot be used per se. And in its raw form, it is simply a random data set and is not helping anyone. It needs to be analyzed, it needs to be broken down to actually give you insights that you can use for your business. And that is why this role is very, very important, especially in today's context where companies are harvesting user data willy-nilly, and there are little to no safeguards, especially as far as India is concerned. So what are the skills you will require if you want to become a data analyst, your remote data analyst? So the first of all, it becomes important that one has a technical background when it comes to data. One needs to have knowledge about computer structures, computer networks, databases. You need to have information about math, how to conduct statistical analysis, how to conduct probability analysis, how to put them, analyze them in context of your business requirements. So things like SQL, like MS Access, having knowledge of such softwares becomes important. So pattern identification, trend identification, data mining, data QA, database management, all of these are skills that acquire greater importance when you talk about becoming a remote data analyst. It would also be advisable to have a handle on various programming languages such as your C++, your Java, your Python, system administration, quant methods, data warehousing, and so on and so forth. Depending on the specific kind of business function you'll be associated with, there are even more skills you may need to acquire before becoming a full-fledged remote data analyst. The third kind of work that an MBA can perform working remotely is that of product management. The product manager is responsible for product planning and execution throughout the entire duration of the product life cycle. So this includes gathering and prioritizing product and customer requirements. It includes defining the vision that the product seeks to achieve. And it also involves close building and maintaining a close working relationship with all the various departments of the company, with engineering, with your sales, with your marketing, with your support departments, and to ensure a fulfilling end-to-end experience for your consumers. And this is also needed to ensure revenue and customer satisfaction. So, although the description of the role may entitle someone to work on the field, because hearing the words product management, an assumption may creep into the mind that okay, this role is something that needs to be conducted on the field. It's an operational role. However, no, this role can also be done remotely as well. It's a managerial role. Several companies are switching to hire people that are qualified and experienced in the areas of product management, and all of these people are actually working remotely because and this is being done because mature and experienced managers are more dependable, and they are able to carry out work with a greater degree of being autonomous. So a number of companies, and this is again on basis of the research that we ourselves have conducted, a number of product managers in Apple, for instance, which is the largest tech company in the world, are working remotely. In Glassdoor, which is the site we regularly log on to look at the various salaries and reviews at any workplace. So Apple, Glassdoor, Pearson View, all of these are companies that have already started hiring remote product managers. And what are the skills that product managers require? These are essentially interpersonal skills, consultative skills. You need to have strategic thinking. You need to have a broad vision so you are able to map out the entire product life cycle and then give effect to the vision you seek to achieve. You have to be careful of propping up your revenue without sacrificing user experience. So to be able to strike that balance, you need to be aware, you need to have interpersonal skills, you need to have strategic thinking, and you need to have an idea about how to deliver a substantial user experience. And as I mentioned, as a product manager, you'll be working closely with a number of departments, such as your engineering, your sales, your marketing, and your support team. So you also need to have an angle of leadership to your profile that is actually cross-functional in nature. So that is the next role that a remote MBA will be seeking to fulfill. The fourth role that an MBA working remotely will be seeking to fulfill is that of a market research analyst. So, as I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar, the presence of COVID itself, among other things, has greatly altered the contours of the market today. And because of that, the importance and role of a market research analyst, which anyway wasn't negligible in any sense, has acquired greater import. A market research analyst essentially works on collecting and assimilating data and interpreting it in order to identify changes and to forecast trends. So you identify trends, you stay ahead of those trends to actually maintain and establish a company whose offerings are fresh to the population. So as a market research analyst, you will also be working closely with the data analysts of your team, and a number of skills are required for this also, such as expertise in various softwares and number crunching apps. That is essentially what you will need, in addition to the other basic skills that you already require, such as your interpersonal skills, your strategic thinking. You all will also need to be conversant with a number of softwares such as Tableau, such as Simply Measured, such as SurveyMonkey, and there are a large other number of softwares that assist you in conducting analysis in a more comprehensive manner. The fifth kind of role that a remote MBA may fulfill is that of a valuation analyst. I'm sorry, guys, my internet's been fluctuating a little bit. I'm back now, though. Okay, so a valuation analyst is someone who conducts a study over an asset or over a business or over some real estate or commodity or essentially either a piece of the business or an entire business. And after conducting a study on that, conducting an analysis over that piece of business, a valuation analyst estimates the approximate value of the same, of that piece of business. And there are a number of various methods that are at the disposal of such an analyst to correctly estimate the valuation. And that is true because a single straight-jacketed approach, a cookie-cutter approach, does not work for every type of asset or every kind of business. And because of that, there are a number of methods that a valuation analyst needs to implement. So when we talk about the skills that a valuation analyst needs to have, it is, of course, a knowledge of the various methods of valuation, at the very outset. Then the analyst needs to have extremely strong analytical skills. Their background needs to be technical in nature. They need to be conversant with math and statistics, of course. Verbal and written skills, needless to say, must be top notch in nature. And other technical knowledge such as Oracle, such as HFM, it needs to be present to conduct a proper valuation. So valuation analysts are other roles that are also available to an MBA that is working remotely. The final role that I'd like to talk about is that of an HR professional. So MBA in HRs are also being hired remotely these days. As I mentioned, a number of recruiting firms such as Bahura, such as Legal Casa, are working entirely online as of today. So businesses may need human resource persons for specific purposes such as recruitment, and they may not want to hire full-time professionals for the same. So even for other roles such as managing payrolls or conducting a research, a company may hire someone for simply a short period on a contract basis. And because of the various factors that I mentioned in the beginning of the webinar. So a role of a human resource executive generally encompasses scheduling interviews, recruitment, carrying out market research, deciding on remuneration, managing payrolls, managing statutory payments and compliances, etc., which can be outsourced to an individual that works remotely. So this will save costs for the company, and this will ensure more earnings for that remote working professional. So again, a win-win situation. So the skills that an HR person needs to have is are quite similar to what we've already discussed. So good communication becomes important, fast decision making becomes important, the ability to carry out and administer training, budgeting, all of this also becomes important. So human resource personnel again are another aspect where remotely working MBAs are being hired in a big way. So how much actually do you earn through remote work is something that varies from company to company, from business to business, and from role to role. So depending upon the kind of project you're taking, the duration for which the project has been taken up, the kind of business being carried on by the companies that's taking you on. So all of these factors are variables that will play a role in deciding the remuneration that you'll be taking up. But as I mentioned, the average salary for an MBA working remotely in India is between 3 to 6 lakhs per annum, as compared to the average salary for an MBA graduate in USA, which is close to rupees 70 lakhs per annum, close to rupees 72 lakhs in fact. And so your earnings through remote projects, on remote MBA projects, will definitely be more than the 6 lakhs per annum category, but it will be less than the 70 lakhs per annum category, which gives you a huge huge margin between which to operate. And what you will get from these foreign lawyers, from these foreign companies hiring you, will definitely be more than what you will earn as a regularized employee having an MBA in India. Also considering that the MBA market in India is quite in a stage of stagnation, remote work like most likely is the best option for an MBA graduate to go towards. And what is important to remember is that financial roles pay you higher than consultancy roles. So an MBA finance will be earning more than an MBA in HR. So that is something that you will keep in mind before taking on projects. So where actually you will find remote work, as I promised in the beginning, I will tell you 10 places to find remote work, and these are places other than Upwork and Fiverr. So everyone today knows about Upwork and Fiverr, which are the biggest freelancing websites. And other than that, I'm going to tell you about 10 places where you can find remote work. So I'll tell you the names, and I'll also paste the links in the chat box here, so you can take it home and you can check them out on your own. So the first platform where you can find such remote work is called StratLancer. So the StratLancer is a marketplace kind of platform to hire strategy consultants, and the businesses here are offering work in terms of preparation of a strategy project, and registered consultants, people that are registered on this website StratLancer, they can actually bid for that project. So the very first website you need to take care of is stratlancer.com. The second website where you can find remote work for MBAs is Top Total. So the Top Total is essentially an online portal that is geared towards uh, fulfilling the requirements for fulfilling finance-based hiring requirements. So a number of experts such as bankers, such as strategy consultants, and a large number of CFOs actually are looking over here for projects that pertain to finance modeling, to fundraising, pricing analysis, budgeting, valuation. So these are the kinds of projects that are available on Top Total, and the link is over here, posted. The the third kind of the third platform that is providing remote work for MBAs is called GLG. It's called GLG, and okay, Suresh is not able to see that. Okay, just give me a second. I'll just repost them. The first was Stratlancer, and the second was Top Total. The third is GLG, and on GLG you are able to find business specialists for consultation, for research, for placements on short-term projects and engagements. And I'm just going to post the link over here. This is the link you have to look at. The fourth platform you have to look for is Catalant. And Catalant essentially builds a software to help companies work remotely, and also to help them hire business talent that is completely outside their geographical limits. So that is the role of Catalant, which is the fourth platform that I'm going to share with you today. The fifth platform, which can enable you to hire independent consultants and on-demand experts, is the Business Talent Group, BTG. So on this platform, businesses call, post, or chat about details of their project and about their ideal consultant and budget. So they post their project details, their budget, their timelines, and they are also able to choose their consultant or even an entire team of experts from a wide umbrella of talent available at BTG. So after that, the consultants are rapidly deployed from BTG's end, and BTG itself monitors the team to enable them to deliver the desired result. So this is the link for that, the businesstalentgroup.com, which is the fifth platform. So sorry for the internet issue, guys. The sixth platform that we're going to talk about is called Talmix. So Talmix is essentially a short form for talent mix, which enables you to make a talent passport instead of a CV, a classical CV. and it lets you apply for proposals for businesses who have signed up for requirement on this website. So this is a different kind of platform that that's you're going to find it to be somewhat different from the other platforms you'll go to. And this is the website for Talmix, which is your talent. It will require you to create a talent passport. The seventh platform that you can look at is called Beehive Consulting, which is a talent marketplace for pre-selected and approved MBA graduates and business executives. And over here also businesses upload projects, and they are able to be selected by MBA graduates who have been pre-selected and approved by the platform. So here is the link for Beehive Consulting. The eighth platform that you're going to look at is called A-Connect. And A-Connect has over 2,000 independent professionals registered on the website. And these 2,000 professionals come from over 68 countries, and they are conversant in more than 50 languages, cumulatively speaking. So A-Connect is able to provide a much more diverse and multifaceted employees to businesses looking to expand over a number of countries and having expertise in a number of native cultures and languages. So here is the link for aconnect.com. The ninth platform we're going to talk about is called 𝗵𝗻𝗻𝗃𝗀𝗻. And 𝗵𝗻𝗻𝗃𝗀𝗻 is essentially a consulting firm which chooses independent consultants signed up with them based upon the requirements of the business. So you can actually go to 𝗵𝗻𝗻𝗃𝗀𝗻 and sign up with them as a consultant. So whenever they get a project suited to your requirements, they'll be allocating you that project for that particular company. So here is the link for 𝗵𝗻𝗻𝗃𝗀𝗻𝗃𝗀𝗻. I would advise you all to please visit all these websites, to sign up on these websites, make your profiles, make your CVs, make your talent passports, and then move towards getting projects from companies that are based offshore, that are based internationally, and take up these projects, build a name, build up your ratings on these websites, become a master at your work. This field is not so inundated right now, but people are beginning to take notice of the fact that okay, this is an opportunity, that this is a very viable and lucrative opportunity that actually has cropped up, and let's take benefit out of this opportunity. So people are beginning to take notice, and if you move right now, you will get the first mover advantage. You will be able to build your name in a way that is faster and more robust as compared to later, when even this opportunity will get inundated after a couple of years, in a couple of years. So before that happens, I would advise you all to jump onto these platforms and conduct your research, build your profiles, and make your name. That I promised you 10 websites. So the 10th website, of course, other than Upwork and Fiverr, is Freelancer. So Freelancer is another major website, and you can look at. And here are your 10 websites, 10 platforms where you can find independent and remote work. So one thing at this point I would like to share is that uh, I mentioned a number of work profiles that an MBA will be able to perform working remotely, and what the skills required for those profiles are. So for this, keeping this in mind, I would like to share the link to a particular course with you. We at 𝗿𝗏𝗃𝗃, we are looking to launch a course in international business laws, how to conduct international business. And this is not merely for lawyers, but also for people who are businessmen, people who are MBA grads, for founders, for startups. And this is something that you can take a benefit out of. So if you're looking to get remote working opportunities, right? If you want to get remote working opportunities, if you want to get hired by people working abroad, for that, this is a course that you should check out. I'll just share the link with you. Give me a second. It is a diploma in international business laws, and we have launched this in collaboration with Webster, which is an American university. Here's the link to the course. Do check out the syllabus. So we are in this course, we're talking about doing businesses in all major economies of the world. We take care of UAE, we take care of China, we take care of America, we take care of UK, and we're going to add more jurisdictions, how to conduct business in these jurisdictions. So here's the link to the course, and I would advise you all to just have a look at the syllabus of the course and see whether it's useful to you. And one other thing I would like to share with you is tonight we're going to have a workshop on how to conduct international business, how to have a career in international business. And this is the link to that 3 hour workshop. And please register it. I'm sure this will prove very beneficial to you, and you'll be able to get more insight as to how to build an international business practice, how to build an international business profile. So that is it with what we are supposed to discuss today, guys. Do you have any questions for me? Any questions, any doubts, any queries, anything you want to ask, anything you want to share with me? All right, guys. So thank you guys for attending this webinar. I'll take your leave. I hope you all have a good day.